Call to order the Papillion La Vista Community Schools Board of Education meeting for August 14th, 2023. First item on the agenda under call of order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Here. Ms. Fisher? Here. Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Madler?
Here.
Here.
Present.
All right, thank you very much. Please make note that we have the Nebraska Open Meetings law is up on the entrance to the room. Keep that posted there. Section 2 for communications. Under A, we got some recognition tonight. Dr. Rickley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey, members of the board. Thank you for our community members who are in attendance with us this evening, as well as those that are watching on YouTube. Always appreciate your engagement with your Board of Education. For those of you that watch our Board of Education, you know that periodically we like to do recognitions for either students or staff who have done something really noteworthy for themselves, for the profession, for the school district. And this one we previously made an announcement. We received notification of this award earlier this summer, but being that it was summer, it was hard to get staff in. So we really wanted to wait until school was back in session to reemphasize this very significant award that Ms. Siri and Ms. Jabins are very much a part of. What we're recognizing this evening is the 2023 Nebraska Career and Technical Education Award. Papillion La Vista Community Schools has received the Outstanding Rule 47 Career Academy program, specifically for our Health Systems Academy. We have 8 different academy programs. All of them offer something unique and job-embedded skills for our students. I can speak firsthand. My oldest daughter went through Health Systems Academy. My youngest daughter is currently in the biomed program, so I can speak to the quality. I can speak to the experiences that it offers our students. But just a little bit about this award. The program is overseen by Assistant Superintendent Shireen Siri and Health System Academy Missy Jabins, who's here this evening. This award is sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Education and is designed to recognize the outstanding achievement of career and technical education programs in junior high and high schools and post-secondary education. Award-winning programs demonstrate quality through student achievement, innovative instruction, leadership and professional development, implementation of career guidance and work-based learning, alignment to Nebraska's workforce needs, and lastly, community engagement. For those of you that haven't sent your children through our academy programs, it really is one of the things that makes PLCS PLCS. It is part, as Ms. Shireen Siri often says, it is part of our secret sauce. I'm incredibly proud of this program. I'm incredibly proud of the work Ms. Siri has done, that Missy Jabins has done. Missy has been a tireless advocate for all of our academy programs, including our Health Systems Academy that we are recognizing this evening. On behalf of your Board of Education and the community, Missy, would you come down and be recognized by your board? Congratulations. For our teachers who gave up a little bit of their evening to be here tonight, thank you. Our academy programs are only as good as the teachers that work in them, and we are deeply grateful for your leadership. Again, Shireen, Missy, congratulations. And with that, Mr. Bailey, I would conclude our recognitions for the evening.
All right, thank you very much. My oldest daughter, I guess she's a twin, so kind of the oldest daughter, also went through the Health Systems Academy, and she just passed her boards as a licensed physical therapist. She just got her doctorate at Creighton. So all started by the Health Systems Academy, so appreciate that very much. So, yeah, so a little bragging there, but I have to do that. Next up will be public comment for items not on the agenda. I've made my comments a couple of times and about decorum, public decorum in here when people speak. At our board retreat on the 30th, the board, we had a long discussion about decorum outside of this room. We've had reports from, we've gotten some emails, had reports from board members and other people that we have people chasing people out into the hallways. We have people confronting people in the parking lot. We've had cases of possible vandalism to people's cars outside, and this is not going to continue out there. Papillion is a wonderful community, and if you can't respect the opinions of others, whether it be in here or out in the parking lot or anywhere else, then it's just ridiculous. It's not part of civilized society. So I'm asking everybody one more time to stop. That's the reason we have 2 police officers in here. We're looking at putting cameras outside, so we're going to put a stop to any of that as well. But it's ridiculous that we have, in this community, this wonderful community that we have people chasing people down and possibly committing vandalism. So one more reminder of that. Again, in here, I don't want heckling, I don't want booing, I don't want any comments. Let people speak, just as you'd like to speak and offer your opinion as well. So with all that being said, we have, I think, four public comments not on the agenda. Oh, one more thing. I think most of you all did it. I know that a lot of people now, it's a new thing that you don't want to state your address, and you put it on this paper. When you put your address on there, please put the city as well, okay? Most of you have done it. There's a few people that don't. Put your street address and put the city as well, please. We need to have it one place or another, so if you don't want to say it, it needs to be on the pink sheet, please. All right. First up, for items not on the agenda, Mr. Ralph Tate.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Tate. There are several things I want to talk about this evening. First, in testimony before U.S. House Committee, 19-year-old Chloe Cole testified that at age 12, she told her parents she identified as a boy. They immediately sought expert advice. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? The choice was enough for my parents to let their guard down. This was the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care. I was fast-tracked onto puberty blockers and then testosterone. A month later, when I was 13, I had my first testosterone injection. It has caused permanent changes in my body. My voice will forever be deeper, my jawline sharper, my nose longer, my bone structure permanently masculinized, my Adam's apple more prominent, my fertility unknown. So what message do I want to bring to American teenagers and their families? Chloe asked. I didn't need to be lied to. I needed compassion. I needed to be loved. I needed to be given therapy that helped me work through my issues, not affirm my delusion that by transforming into a boy it would solve all my problems. We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong. Secondly, in a report published in the June 27th edition of the Journal of American Medical Association, a study found that transgender individuals in Denmark are at significantly higher risk of suicide than Denmark's general population. Researchers at the Danish Research Institute for Suicide Prevention examined the health and legal records of 6.6 million Danish-born people over the span of 42 years. The team focused on 3,759 people who came out as transgender at a median age of 22 through a legal gender change or hospital diagnosis or both between 1980 and 2021. Compared with the rest of the people in the study, the transgender participants were 7.7 times more likely to attempt suicide and 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide. Even the non-suicide death rate was 1.9 times as high as that of their non-transgender counterparts. The researchers also stated that because of the data they were using, those figures are likely an undercount. Also know that Denmark is one of the most accepting countries concerning transgenderism. If we truly want what is best for children, we need to do everything we can to help children avoid the irreversible damage and potential serious consequences of transgenderism. Thirdly, on the topic of the Opportunity Scholarship Act, compared with the approximately $3.7 billion spent on public education last year, the $25 million scholarship account is a small investment in giving parents and guardians the right to choose the school option that is best for the child. The most current Nebraska student-centered assessment system statewide proficiency results show the percent of students meeting or exceeding standards for English language only 47%, mathematics only 46%, science 66%, and the ACT level, language 46%, math 44%, science 48%. In most subjects, more than half of the students in Nebraska are not meeting standards. We need to do better. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next up, Ms. Lowen Eby.
Hello, my name is Lowen Eby, and my address is on the form I submitted. Title 92, Nebraska Administrative Code, Chapter 27, Section 4.02I, requires educators to report acts of moral turpitude, felonies, and certain misdemeanors. As an educator, if you have sufficient cause to believe that an act of moral turpitude has occurred, you have a duty to report that to the Commissioner of Education. From the complaint, Karen A. Haase versus Stephen Drew Gentry, the respondent admits that on January 25th, 2022, he was sentenced by the Sarpy County District Court to 30 days in jail and 24 months of probation after being found guilty of the amended charge of attempt of sexual abuse by a school employee. From the petition, Matthew Blomstead, PhD, versus Daniel Johnston. During the interview with MV, conducted by school administration and law enforcement, MV disclosed that she and respondent had smoked marijuana together on 5 to 10 occasions. The Papillion Police Department conducted a criminal investigation and discovered approximately 62,000 text messages between respondent and MV, which included multiple affirmations of love and emotional closeness, arguments with explicit language, and references to smoking. The text messages reflected a close personal relationship between respondent and MV. At the February 22, 2021 school board meeting, the board voted to approve Mr. Gentry's resignation. Ms. Fisher, Mr. Lotus, Ms. Witt, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Madler, were you aware of Mr. Gentry's sentencing when you voted to approve his resignation? At the November 23, 2020 board meeting, the board voted to approve Mr. Johnston's resignation. Ms. Fisher, Ms. Witt, and Mr. Lotus, were you aware Mr. Johnston sent approximately 62,000 messages and possibly contributed to the delinquency of a minor by allegedly providing marijuana to MV when you voted to accept his resignation? I implore the board to consider how resignations are handled when it involves certificate holders and acts of moral turpitude. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
All right, thank you. Next up, Mr. Edward Weniger.
Hi there. I wanted to propose a hypothesis. Edward Weniger, 1709 Ridgeview Drive. I wanted to propose the hypothesis. This doesn't apply just to Plain La Vista, but also nationwide. Could teachers be leaving the profession due to the politicization of the curriculum and the teaching environment? We come here week after week as parents and don't get to talk about the policies we'd like to see implemented or how to improve our mediocre test scores, but we have to push back on the agenda and indoctrination being forced on our children. It came to a head with COVID narrative and vaccine lies, but has been promulgated by board policies and administrative procedures regarding DEI, SEL, sex ed, LGBTQIA, CRT, and pornography in the schools. The role of the education system is to grow and train students to be free thinkers and learn and grow independently. Teachers should be presenting facts, not being forced to indoctrinate. We are to be preparing them for careers in adulthood to include the basics of math, science, reading, writing, history. It is not the job of the school to feed and clothe children, to serve them breakfast and open a community closet. These are things a nanny state does. Chairman Mao wanted to be the deity of his country and create reliance upon the Communist Party. If you provide these things, you are rendering parents unnecessary and undermining their dignity and responsibilities. But instead, we are proselytizing the religion of LGBTQIA. It's a belief, a faith that if I change my pronouns, I can change my biology, that cutting off a penis makes me a woman. This is what we call a cult. And finally, I want to plug Decline to Sign. The paid signature collectors have been out in force across the city pestering people, and I wanted to make sure those listening know that if they were tricked into signing, they can remove their name by completing a simple form. I have some with me. More school choice is best for our state education system and will raise all boats. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last up for items not on the agenda, Mr. Darrell Lechner.
My name is Darrell Lechner, and my address is discussed. Thank you again, you all. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on some things. Over the summer, a group I am a part of, we do deep dives into far left extremist groups. It doesn't mean that there's not bad right groups too, but what we're doing is trying to find out, because there's been an extreme push from some very far left groups, and these are college professors too. University of Boulder, Colorado had a group that was going to be pushing some agenda. Initially, the titles of it sounded kind of innocuous, but we do some deeper research to find out what's actually being taught. Upon finding out that they are basically trying to instruct teachers how to circumvent school boards, principals, and parents, we decided we were going to get 3 teachers involved and infiltrate their group. During this time, that group decided to cancel all their previous sessions and make changes to where they weren't going to do it because they didn't want that information getting out to the public. This is an ongoing thing. We have my group mates, basically we review things hours. We spend hours going through stuff. I want to make you aware of this, and this is coming in, and this is being taught to new teachers, and I seriously suggest you review all new teachers coming in, because this is an ideology that's being pushed to circumvent principals, you, the school board, and parents. I would recommend you be careful when they use the word safe spaces. This is being utilized to develop a trust between the teacher and the student, and thus silence the school, counselors, principals, and especially the parents who are their guardians. We are it's our responsibility, and a lot of you have kids, I know you do, and you wouldn't want your kids being subject to basically cultist ideas and indoctrination in ways that we're not even aware of. One concern I had that did come up, in the introduction series during the first few days of school, they're asking students what do they want to be called by. I would recommend the school board call students by their legal names. That way you can avoid lawsuits in the future and protect yourselves forthgoing. This is something I will hold you to, and I guarantee you, if certain things come out of this the wrong way, I would suggest to all parents sue the school board, thus causing action to go forward. Also, one quick note, I applaud your efforts to get students control of their cell phones, and that uses can be dangerous in schools. But since the schools do not have cameras in the classrooms, I'm recommending to all parents that they can contact any private investigator, and I guarantee you they can get cameras and microphones and record conversations between students and teachers, especially in harmful situations, and that way the students can be protected and these teachers that are trying to indoctrinate our students be held accountable. Thank you. And thank you, Brittany, and everybody else.
Okay. Next up, item C is the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey, members of the board, and again, for our audience members who are here, thank you for being with us, as well as those that are watching online. It is an exciting week. This is our first full week back. We started classes with most of our students last Thursday, half day, and then we welcomed all of our students back on Friday. So it's an exciting time, needless to say. We're particularly grateful To our custodians, we're particularly grateful for our teachers and support staff that work so hard to have the buildings ready, to have their classrooms ready. We had a couple of building projects that were right up into the wire. So to have those classrooms and buildings be as beautiful as they are is a testament to our staff. So thank you for what you do to make our buildings welcoming for our families and for our kids. Also wanted to thank our Board of Education members for attending our all-staff gathering at Warner Park a week ago. It's a tremendous way to kick off the school year. So this is something we've done for the last at least 8 or 9 years. We meet at Warner Park. Our staff members receive T-shirts. We have breakfast. I don't know how many business partners we have lining the concourse, but at least 50 to 60 business partners, handing out different forms of swag to our staff, which they enjoy. And the culminating event is really the awarding of our major teaching and staff awards. We give out a Rookie of the Year, Classified Staff Member of the Year, Secondary Teacher of the Year, Elementary Teacher of the Year. And it's just a really great way to kick off the school year. And as I mentioned to Mr. Bailey, I don't remember the last time we had all 6 board members attend. You're all busy people. You have busy lives. I get that. You're all volunteers. So to have 6 of you there handing out T-shirts and welcoming our staff, I guarantee you that our staff noticed it and your administrators noticed it. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be part of that special event. Also wanted to let the community and the board know we're continuing to track not only our enrollment numbers for the upcoming year, but also the implications that has for staffing. These numbers are very, very fluid. At some point in time, Dr. Settles will give us a full report. Tentatively, it looks like we're up about 40, 50 students. So very modest growth, but we're moving in the right direction. One of the other things that Dr. Settles keeps a very close eye on is open positions. And, you know, we're seeing these headlines all across the metro, all across the nation, unfilled teaching positions. And right now we have about 3 or 4 special education positions that we need to fill. But in terms of general education support positions, we're in a really, really, really good place. And that's due in no small part to the work of our principals, our HR staff, and the work that you all do to make our staff feel welcome and valued here. Also wanted to remind the community, special thanks to Dr. Myers for holding our first community closet event of the year. We had 145 families attend this event at La Vista Middle School. It was Saturday morning. We had approximately 55 volunteers. These are some of our most vulnerable families coming in at a time when they really need the help. Back to school time is a critical time for some of our more vulnerable families, and to be able to give kids backpacks and shoes and clothing and hygiene items. Special shout out, by the way, to United Way that donated a number of, they're called Shine Brightly boxes that have containers with full-size hygiene products like conditioner, shampoo, deodorant, soap, things that many of us take for granted. Frankly, not all our families have. And if not us to provide that, then who? And if you've got a better solution, I would encourage you to step up and provide that solution. But in the meantime, as a public school district, we absolutely are going to help support our families. And finally, I would throw a shout out to the foundation who is hosting their annual gala event this year. It's the second year that it'll be at the Beardmore Event Center. We've previously done that at the La Vista Embassy Suites. We are doing it at Beardmore for the second year, and it is sold out. So I'm afraid to tell you, if you don't have a seat at the table, better luck next year. But congratulations to Lee Danker and his staff for doing a great outreach effort for the foundation, which does so much to support our families and our school district. And with that, Mr. Bailey, I would conclude my superintendent's comments.
Great. Thank you very much. A lot going on right now, obviously, with the start of school. All right, next up, board reports.
I was one of the 6. It was a magnificent event, and the teachers were, what I like about it is they wear their own T-shirts from their school, and they sit in a group, and they cheer for their staff, and they cheer for the district, and I really enjoy seeing all of them there and as happy as they are. I had the kickoffs for the various schools, watching the parents and the cheerleaders line up to slap hands with kiddos as they walk into their buildings is encouraging. I just love watching that. And I was thinking of you, Val, the other day. A parent came up to me in the grocery store, and she said, "There's 2 people in my neighborhood that continually blow by a stop sign," you know, and so a reminder to all of our community members to please be careful as our kids are out on the streets these days. My grandson started 8th grade at La Vista Middle School, and the staff there is just amazing. He's already had to have a schedule change, and it was immediate, and it was fantastic. And again, I want to, as you did, thank the Community Closet and La Vista Middle School for hosting that event for our families. As a parent who can't afford to buy things for my kid, I'm happy to donate the very quality products that we have left over so that somebody else can take advantage of those and give more time for that parent to spend their dollars or whatever they need on other items so that they don't have to fret about what their kids have or not. So thank you to all the parents who donate to the Community Closet and to our partners for making that possible.
I don't know. Also, all of us were at the back to school. Great event. Dr. Wrigley, for the awards that are given out, you know, it's not just the name and the award that they get, but the foundation also puts a little finances behind it. What are the dollar amounts that those teachers get?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Madler. It's not a small amount, as you point out. It's a significant gift that the foundation gives. There's actually 5 awards. I forgot a very important, a new one, the Substitute Teacher of the Year. So there's actually 5 awards. So the Elementary Teacher of the Year, Secondary Teacher of the Year, Classified Teacher of the Year are all $5,000 apiece. Again, all fully underwritten by the foundation through private dollars. I believe both the substitute teacher and the rookie are funded at $2,500. I'm looking at Dr. Settles. So all in, 3 prizes at $5,000, 2 at $2,500, $20,000 a year in total. So that's a very significant gift. And frankly, when you look around the metro, the school districts that we compete against, the Omaha Public Schools, the Westside Community Schools, and many others, this is a very common practice for their foundation to support it, and I'm really proud that our foundation is willing to step up and recognize outstanding staff members. It's certainly part of the whole recruitment retention strategy of ours.
And it's great to see that when they don't know their name is being called for the award coming down, and that they have their family then come out on the field too. It's always great. I had open house at Terra Heights for my 3rd and 4th graders that are starting. It was a great event. Thanks to the staff for staying late on I think the Tuesday night and getting the school all ready and having us there. And for the PTO, having food trucks, and it was just a perfect night. The kids all were just playing outside for hours afterwards, which was great for them to see their friends after summer. And then I also was invited to go speak to the Boy Scouts Troop 888 to help them get their citizenship badge. They needed to speak to an elected official, so they called, they messaged me, and I went over there to talk to them about what is a citizen, what's the obligations of good citizens, and what does it take to be a good citizen. So there's probably 20, 25 kids in the Boy Scouts over there for that troop, and asked great questions, and it was just great interaction with them and just hanging out with them for a little bit. So thank you to Troop 888. That's it for me.
Yes, busy week since the last board meeting. I attended a teammates meeting, and she had shared with us that they have 32 or 36 new mentors. I can't remember which one it was, but that's at like a high. So they were very excited about that. Obviously, this is my first time on the board, so hearing them be excited, I was excited too. And then another thing was the back to school event at Warner, my first time again, and it was outstanding. I didn't really know what to expect with it being at a baseball field, but it was pretty neat seeing everybody out on the ground, on the field. And then they had the alumni come out, which I was a part of that with the grad shirt. So that was pretty cool to see the people there. Is it 130 years? 135. 135 years, yeah, since the district. So it was neat to hear how it started with just like the tiny school and how the office was over by godfathers, just hearing all the background of it and seeing the pictures from back in the day. That was pretty neat to see. And then one thing that I loved from the event was hearing Mr. Campbell speak. So they brought up different teachers that have been here like 30 plus years, and they were given just their stories about being in the district and encouraging the new teachers and the staff. And his was, so he's a skilled teacher in the trades. And I think I actually had him at Papillion Junior High with Mr. Castle. I think that's who that was, yeah. And so I just loved hearing how he was going with his story and just these kids and seeing their success that they have after high school in this trade industry. He's like, I have so many students that now have businesses in Papillion that are like plumbers, electricians, and so I just think that's really neat to see because I'm a huge believer in the trades, and I just love how he talked it up and just seeing like he's hired somebody from Papillion, a former student, to come and help fix something in his house. So I love to hear stories like that and his encouragement to the teachers. Otherwise, we did the bond interviews, which was very interesting to be a part of. Got a lot of good feedback with that, and just seeing how it all works, it was very intriguing, and I loved that. Other than that, I think that's about it.
There's, to me, every year when we get the back-to-school event at Warner Park, for me, it's the excitement of seeing the staff ready to come back, the smiles on people's faces as they're seeing people that they haven't seen for a while, and just the whole, I can't wait to get the kids in the classroom kind of thing. It's just really exciting for me to see that. And I think it's a great time for them to all get together and share that together. So I appreciate that the district's able to do that. You stole a little bit of my thunder, but I was going to do my normal as kids are going back to school and walking. It's interesting, my work team, my other job that pays me, we have a huddle every day, and it's 15 minutes, and we have one a week where they get to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And so this week it was kids going back to school, and I can't tell you how many said, I'm so worried, people are blowing through stop signs, they don't stop at crosswalks, and so I told them to call their police non-emergency number and tell them about the location and that someone will come out and they'll start looking at those. And then we talked about grocery stores. I don't know why, but everybody wanted to know about where you shop for groceries and that kind of thing. But it was interesting to hear all these parents in my huddle talk about their concern about kids walking to school and seeing this huge volume of people just blowing through stop signs. And I'm seeing it in my neighborhood too, and I don't know how we could, I don't know what we can do. I don't know if the newspapers or who can take some of this on, but we've got to educate people, especially those that don't have kids, about kids starting back to school so that we can give them a safe way to get there. Because I think a lot of kids love to walk to school. I loved to walk to school when I could instead of having to hop on a bus or have my parents take me. And it's kind of part of that joy of walking with your friends. But it's got to be safe for the kids. They shouldn't have to worry about I'm standing at a crosswalk and there's a stop sign and it's my turn to walk across, but I can't because the cars just went right through. So just a reminder to everybody out in the community, we really need to be responsible citizens in our community, talking about the citizens, and watch out for these things that we see going on and get some help with them when we need it. So that's what I had today.
I was at about everything else with everybody, so I'll keep it short and to the point. Yeah, just as Marcus said, my kids' back to school night again last Tuesday. It's fantastic to see the staff and just the new arrivals of new teachers, and I'm at one of the newer elementaries to see the expansion into the third section at a growing school and an addition of preschool, which is exciting as well. So. Again, the principals and the administration, the teachers do such a great job of organizing it to be just a really fun and inviting atmosphere to get everybody to come back. So it's a great event. And then, as Ms. Holtmeyer said, the CMR selection meetings over the last couple weeks was really worthwhile and rewarding. We'll touch base on that here in a little bit. So it was a fun and exciting couple of weeks here in the district.
I get to add my 2 cents. First of all, that we did have the board retreat back on the 31st, if you all remember, and thank you, everybody, for coming. I know you did say it, but thank all you all for taking, 4 hours, or I guess a little shorter than 4 hours, but appreciate you doing that. I know it's another night to come and do, spend away from your family. I also enjoyed the opening ceremony. I teach, and I've got a class of about 100, but when you stand up there and you're looking at all of those teachers, it's intimidating, but it's so much fun. You can just feel the energy and feel the excitement, and it was a lot of fun. And and I was the hit because I was the shortest speech, so I was told mine was the best. But it's fantastic. I want to shout out to the community closet in that event as well. I wasn't there, but the community closet is invaluable for this community. So, I know my wife teaches at a Title I school, and she has talked before about how some of the students that she's had or seen in the school that frankly don't have very much, if anything. And to have something like that, to be able to refer them to that if she sees that sort of thing is it's just an amazing thing to have. So, yes, we've heard people that aren't happy with it, but I can tell you that, that the vast majority of this community is very happy to have the community closet, and it's invaluable for this community. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, and keep up the great work there. So, all right.
Before we move on, one more. I think we should do one more update here. Dr. Rickley, wasn't there something in Kearney a couple weeks ago that you had to go down for? If you just want to share.
He blanked. Yes. All right.
Thanks for nothing, Mr. Madler. Yeah. This feels kind of like being braggy, but yeah. So the Nebraska Council of School Administrators annually gives out an award recognizing ed leadership. It goes back to 1988. This school district was selected as the winner. It won't be official until November, and I guess I would share with the board and the community what I shared in that video message, and that is, one of the things that makes me most proud about being part of this award that was announced was that it puts Papillion La Vista for the first time on that list. Dr. Black was named Superintendent of the Year when he was at Conestoga, and then he transitioned to an assistant superintendent role here, and then was, of course, our superintendent for 6 years. So I wouldn't say it's exactly the first, but really it's kind of the first time we've had a sitting superintendent. It's a recognition of the district. It's a recognition of all of you. It's a recognition of this community. I can't think of a single thing in 10 years that I have done by myself, that I have done in isolation, that I have accomplished, with the possible exception of a few blown snow day calls that I'll take full responsibility for. We have an outstanding, we have an outstanding school district because we have a community that expects that demands that, and pitches in and provides that. It's sometimes said that communities get the school districts they deserve, and when you look at the quality of this community and the quality of staff and the teachers and the people that pitch in, this is a special place. And I've had the good fortune of working and living in other states and other school districts, so I have a little bit of perspective about what a good school district looks like. This is as good as places I've ever worked, as I've ever lived, ever raised kids, and I hope you feel the same way. I'm a little biased, but I think this is as good a place as it gets. So thanks for embarrassing me there, Mr. Madler.
Sorry to do that. I know you don't, I'm not really that sorry. I know you don't love the spotlight, but the award wasn't School District of the Year, right? It was Superintendent of the Year, one awarded out of the entire state each year. I think a huge accomplishment, obviously, and I think this district, it just shows that this district is incredibly fortunate to be to have you be the superintendent for the last 10 years and hopefully years to come. And I'm just happy that you were able to get the recognition and have some family there to see it as well. So again, congratulations.
Thanks. I forgot to write that down. All right, next up, committee reports, buildings, grounds, and finance. You guys have been busy.
Yes, we have, Mr. Bailey. Outside of all the three committee members sitting on the CMR selection committee, we also met this past Friday for our regular monthly subcommittee meeting. We've got multiple items on tonight's agenda. We did a brief review of what the fiscal year expenditures looked like compared to what we budgeted. We're in great shape there. Tentative kind of look at what next year's budget may look like, and I'm not going to steal our advisors out in the audience's thunder, so we've got some things tonight that we've discussed many times. Again, the committee, thanks to our community members that sat on that committee as well, they were invaluable with their experience as well as in our Pat from BCDM providing the expertise, and again, a big thank you to the 7 general contractors that gave proposals to that committee. They all spent a lot of time and effort and did their due diligence to present us with multiple ideas of how they could accomplish the projects that were in the proposals. So, and again, thanks to the other committee members as well in this room. We had a stack about that high of reading materials to go through. So, yeah, there's half of them. So again, big thanks for all the time for the 2 additional meetings and your time out of those meetings preparing questions and feedback for those that proposed.
All right, thank you. Human Resources and Student Services.
We have not met, but we do have a meeting coming up next week.
Thank you. Curriculum and Americanism.
The committee met last Thursday. We had 3 items on the agenda. The first was just having some conversation around the book appeal steps. The second was around the 6,000 Board of Education policy review, which is on the agenda this evening. And then the last one was some discussion over the purchase of English language arts materials for this coming year. We are looking at, through the cycle, that this is the K through 12 cycle for the ELA materials, and they're expected to be very costly. So that's something that we're going to have conversation around, because it will definitely hit the budget, but it is expected for multiple reasons to be very costly this year.
All right, thank you. Next up, we're going to go into action items and then discussion items. Of course, we have public comment for items on the agenda. We do have one. We'll do that when we get to that specific one. It's on the policy 6,000 instructions, so we'll get there in just a second, and I will have this person come up and speak, and then we will go ahead with our presentation like we normally do. So that being said, the first up for action items are action by consent.
I make a motion to approve the action by consent agenda as listed.
Second.
All right. Had a motion by Ms. Fisher and a second by Mr. Madler. Any discussion? We did add a few things on there like we talked about at our retreat, so everybody good with those? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Fisher? Yes. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Holtmeyer?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And as I just said, next up is our policy 6,000 instruction, and we do have Ms. Catherine Bedora. I hope I said that correctly. You can come on up and speak, please. I don't know if I said it before, but you do have 3 minutes. You'll hear the first beep at about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and then after that, the 3 minutes will go off.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I wanted to
Can I get your name first, please?
Oh, Kathy Badura.
Thank you.
Sorry. I just wanted to present a personal story that I have from working as a part-time paraprofessional at the Plain La Vista High School. During the course of my duties, and I loved the job, and I had great feedback, good comments, I got along well with others, respected everybody, co-workers, student workers, students, everybody. I was horrified when I was shelving books and I saw the book's title was Teen Witch, Wicca for a New Generation. I am a practicing Catholic. That just sent a dagger in my heart. I had no clue there was any type of book like that in the library. That opened my eyes to see other books, including You Do You, Two Boys Kissing, which was filth, with a pornographic book cover, they, them pronouns, and others. I went through the proper chain of command, filled out the forms, was told after I did all the work that I had no standing because I did not have a child as a student. Okay? I accept that. Even though I pay taxes for this, I know students in the high school. I have years of interaction with them. Their parents are my friends. You know, I feel that this is a huge disservice and to our kids to not be providing good reading material. These books were not good. And since you did not respect, and I really took that word to heart when you started the meeting with respect, I did not feel like my opinions were respected. I will read to you what the Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Omaha said about the Teen Witch book. He said, I looked at the book, there is nothing good about it. Kids should not be taught or encouraged to engage in witchcraft magic spells. The school is leading students into a dark world where rulers are evil spirits. Kids who dabble in witchcraft are inviting a life of misery. They are consenting to a relationship with demons. How do I know this? Because I deal with this all the time. That's his job. I added that part. I attended and graduated from Pope Leo XIII Institute of Exorcism and Deliverance. We spent a lot of time on witchcraft, occult, New Age. Kids need to be taught to go to Jesus with their problems, confusion, anxiety, etc., not witches. Is my time up?
Your time is up, yes.
Okay. I think you get the picture.
All right, thank you. All right. Ms. Siri, I turn it over to you.
Yes. Good evening, Board of Education. So tonight I am bringing to you the revisions of the 6000 series. There has been no changes since the last time this was presented to you. You'll see there in your board packet there is a synopsis of the 5 policies that do have changes. The first one is 6104, and that is our inclement weather policy, and we are taking weather out of that title and changing it to school closing. 6202 is an update of language with the cultural groups, and 6305 is a substitution with the language of eligible versus not qualify for our special education policy. And then 6405 is an update to the language and a reorganization of that policy to build clarification and also to make it more simply stated in the roles of each of the stakeholders with controversial issues. And then the last one is 6801, and that is just simply a change in the director's title. It's an update to match the job title. So, but no changes since the last time we had discussion at the board meeting.
All right, thank you. If I can get a motion and then we can have a discussion.
I make a motion to approve policy updates to policy 6104, 6202, 6305, 6405, and 6801 as presented.
Second.
All right, a motion by Ms. Fisher and a second by Mr. Madler. All right, now discussion.
Ms. Terry, I still have a question as I'm still a little confused with how we changed the bottom of it, and I'm looking at my notes from the last meeting. A complaint versus a concern is 2 different things to me. So the parent can make a complaint and a patron can make a concern. So like how she made a complaint, and that she was a para made a complaint, but then it still got denied because she didn't have standing. So now hearing that information, now I'm really confused, because if she's working in the district, she doesn't get a say and she pays taxes. So I'm assuming when she filled this out, because this is brand new, she was filling it out with the old way. So I'm not comfortable voting on this so tonight, so my thing is going to be no, I guess, until we can see the procedure, because I believe the procedure would have to change if it's going from complaint to now a concern with a patron. So is the procedure going to be different?
So once the board approves the policy or passes the policy, then we, as a district, write the procedure as to how we're going to implement and what the system or processes is going to be for the particular policy. We have worked on a draft. I think our current procedure works. It allows for feedback. It allows for an opportunity for our patrons / tax holders / parents to give us feedback. I don't see that changing moving forward, but policy and then procedure would come next.
Okay, so if the procedure is good, but then we changed the policy from complaint to concern for the patron, I just feel like the procedure would have to change if you're doing that, because wouldn't they still be doing the same thing following the old procedure? Why would we change the wordage of that then?
If the policy is, we'll update the procedure so it matches this policy.
Okay.
But if your policy says that you're taking feedback from those stakeholders, then your procedure would match that.
Okay. So for myself.
Is that your question? I'm not
Yeah,
sure what your question is.
Yeah, kind of. I just don't understand how this wordage is changing, but the procedure may still stay the same. So just for myself, I'm not comfortable voting on that until I see how the procedure is written once this passes, and then maybe I'll change my mind or I'll have more questions about it. So that was my biggest concern, is complaint versus concern now for the patron. So I just wanted to share that so people would know as to what I'm doing.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
So you do understand, we'll vote on the policy, we don't vote on the procedure. Right. Okay, because you were saying you'd wait until after you saw the procedure to change your mind and vote on it. Well, we'll vote on the policy right now. Okay, I just want to make sure that you understood that we'll be voting on that tonight.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
So as a board, we do policy, and then the administration does the procedure. But I personally don't feel comfortable voting for this, how it's worded, without seeing how the correct procedure is going to go.
Okay, I just want to make sure you understand that
Yeah.
we will be voting tonight.
Sure.
We're not delaying that.
No, I know.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
I just want to make sure you understood.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Bailey, I wonder, just for our people at home, that we use these terms because we understand them and we work with them. But I think it might be a good refresher for a community that's here or watching from home. The board passes policy. Procedure is how we operationalize. That gives us the discrete directions on how to carry it out. It's not terribly different than when you see legislation being made at the municipal level, at the state level, or the national level, where they pass a statute, for example. Statutes in and of themselves are generally not enforceable. Generally, you have to have regulations which operationalize that. So that's kind of how it works at a local school board level. Boards pass policy, we write procedure to operationalize it, just so that we have something actionable to go from. Just wanted to make sure everyone understood the difference between the two.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that our committee listened to parents, both with children in the district and without children in the district. We listened to legal. We looked at different laws, and I think that the way the policy has been written will meet the needs of all of our stakeholders, and I support it as written.
I also support it, and I understand that, when we're making any change to policy, we can't really set procedures up until we vote on the policy, because that, if we don't vote on it, then there's no reason to be changing the policy, the procedures. So I would expect that once this policy is approved at whatever time, then the procedures will be looked at to make sure that they are properly set to uphold and manage the policy that the board has set.
All right, anyone else? All right, then roll call, please. Yes.
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 Okay, thank you very much. All right, our next item is the Fricky Field and Titan Field projects bid approval. Mr. Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Good news, we ended up with 3 bids on this particular project for the baseball fields at Fricky Field, owned by the city, but leased by us now. Titan Field, which is on our campus at Papillion La Vista South High School. General info is we're replacing the natural turf with artificial turf. We're doing other stadium improvements with bleachers, bullpens, batting cages, et cetera, where needed at each stadium. And we're pleased that 2 of the top companies that do artificial turf and these types of projects put in for bid in this project. Mid-American Golf ended up, and Landscape, who's done work at Millard, OPS, Blair, Lincoln Public, won the bid at $3,344,059.99, well within the amount we estimated at the last meeting of between 3.2 and 3.9 million. So we were pleased it was on the lower side of that, as we have the softball fields to do soon too, which are in that estimate. So of 6 million overall, we'd like to stay within with those 2 projects. We're hoping to get off the ground as soon as this bid is approved and we get a contract with the company. And then we'll hope to be completed in December of 2023 and then ready for the season opener in the spring. Any questions?
No, I'll make a motion, 1, to approve the lump sum bid of $3,344,059.99 from Midwest Golf and Landscape, Inc., and 2, to delegate authority to and authorize, approve the President of the Board of Education, Superintendent of Schools, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, or a designee for the school district to sign, execute, and deliver such construction contract, sign and approve any change orders, retain necessary professionals for assistance, pay the contract price, change order increases, and expenses related to the construction project and site preparation work, and take all other action necessary to complete any requirements or obligations under the construction project and contract.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Lotus and a second by Mr. Madler. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you very much. All right, and our last item here under action items, item D, construction manager at risk, number 3, selection committee recommendation. Mr. Richards, back to you.
Okay, here we go, sorry. We're trying to get this up. Just talking about the CMR process and where we're at in this, and we've kind of covered this each month, talking this through since it's the first time the district has run through a construction manager at risk process. We met August 3rd to pick finalists from 7 company proposals. So the interest was out there from some really reputable companies. We were very pleased with the companies that we got to choose from. We had an adopted scoring system that the board had approved and selected 3 finalists that night on August 3rd as we reviewed the proposals to interview on August 10th. From those 3, on August 10th, the CMR Selection Committee is recommending to the board we go with Sampson Construction, who finished number 1, and Boyd Jones, who finished number 2, as the district's top choices for the bond projects, and to allow our administration and legal counsel to negotiate contracts with both, with Buildings, Grounds, and Finance Committee input during that process, subcommittee input, and then bring that back to the Board of Education for consideration once we get that done. If contracts are able to be negotiated, we'll bring it back on August 28th. And we'd really like to, and Brian said it a couple times tonight, and I know Brittany has as well, and it was a great experience. They put in a lot of time with their proposals, all 7 companies. The 3 that we brought back put in a lot of time for their interviews and their presentations. Very appreciative of that, and we hope to do business, and we have done business with a lot of those 7, but in the future with the ones that weren't selected tonight. But we think we got really good 2 that fit what we want to do in this particular bond project in multiple ways, and very excited about having these two on board once we get the contracts brought back to you. Questions, discussion? I know the Buildings and Grounds Finance Committee may have some more comments.
I just wanted to share it out loud for the people, how we asked, like, how they involve the students within the schools. I thought that was a huge impact, especially the ones that shared just what they've done, not in our buildings, but like other districts. And then one of them also gives a scholarship projects. So I think that's amazing that they do that, and they incorporate the kids, and then they do walkthroughs with it. And yeah, I just wanted to share that part.
All right, anything else? Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education of this school district should and does hereby approve and adopt a resolution as presented at this meeting and included with this agenda item regarding the ranking and selection of Sampson Construction as the top-ranked construction manager at risk and Boyd Jones Construction as the next highest-ranked construction manager at risk, both for construction projects under the 2023 bond campaign.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Lotus, second by Ms. Holtmeyer. Any further discussion, questions?
No, I just wanted to, again, I'm glad you brought it up, Mr. Richards. I mean, the groups that they brought in for interviews, it wasn't we were just interviewing, the vice president of sales. They brought in superintendents that will be on-site day to day. We got a chance to, obviously evaluate their qualifications, prior experiences, and look them in the eye and find, why they wanted to do these projects, why they wanted to be involved in renovating or building new buildings for this district in particular. So again, as Mr. Richards said, we were spoiled for choice. All 7 were amazing. It was a very difficult decision. Again, the committee came to a very rational scoring system. And we're very agreeable on our decisions. So, again, for the board members that weren't involved, know that between our community members, our advisors, Mr. Richards, Mr. Ware, the committee did spend an awful lot of time going through and evaluating and making these selections that were just motioned for your consideration.
Great, thank you. I appreciate all your time, by the way, from doing all this, because I know there was a lot. So, all right, no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Lotus?
Yes.
Ms. Holtmeyer? Yes. Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll move into our discussion and information items. First up on the list, item A is D.A. Davidson, bond number 7 proceeds. Mr. Richards, I think we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. I'll ask Cody Wickham of D.A. Davidson to come forward. And just to give you a little background, we're moving with design items. Of course, we got a bid approval tonight on the baseball fields. So we're going to need some money to pay for all this stuff here. And so we brought D.A. Davidson in to talk a little bit about that first installment of funding. We did work with our partners at BCDM to get an estimate of the first year's costs. For all those things, from permits to design to engineers to actual construction and permitting and those types of things, to be probably around $25 million. So that's what we're going to talk about, getting our first $25 million of the $130 million in tonight with Mr. Wickham.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Cody Wickham with D.A. Davidson and Company, 450 Regency Parkway. As Mr. Richards pointed out, and Mr. Lodes, we met last Friday with the Finance Committee to discuss the plan for this first issuance of general obligation school building bonds as related to the $129 million.
29, yeah.
That was approved May 9th of this year. The meeting with the Finance Committee last Friday, the planning behind this goes back probably well over a year. We've been running bond models on how these bonds would be sold and structured to make sure that when the district was putting the information out to your patrons on how they should vote on this issue, we wanted to make sure that we were accurate within those parameters. So happy to report that Our conservative projections, even though the interest rate environment has kind of gone against us since then, we're still well within our means. Part of that, not only, again, we were conservative with our projections, but you also had some valuation increases that was above, higher than expected, and you had some bonds that were dropping off. Again, that was kind of part of our long-term plan. So everything's looking pretty good. I'm happy to report this first issuance, as Mr. Richards said, is going to be $25 million. We have this slotted out to have these issued in 5 different series annually between now and 2027. You could look at issuing a larger amount now. As you're looking at your drawdown schedules for your projects, you can issue an amount and tackle projects up to 3 years. That's kind of your tax code restrictions, is you have to spend all of your bond proceeds within 3 years of the date or issuance of the first series of bonds. Because we are in a little bit higher interest rate environment than normal, the plan is to just do your first series and look at 1 year out and tackle those projects as needed, and down the line. That way we're not locking you in for a longer term on potentially a higher interest rate environment. So again, we're looking at $25 million. Give you a quick market update here. You've probably seen all kinds in the newspaper and elsewhere where you keep seeing rates going up and up. And if you looked at mortgage rates, it would really look pretty grim. The tax-exempt bond market is not quite as bad. You've got the 20-year AAA bonds, just to give you a little color here. The average over the last 10 years has been 2.94%. The maximum was 4.27% back in 2013, and currently we're at 3.46%, which is about 0.5% or 52 basis points above the average over the last 10 years. So, yes, we are a little bit higher, but it's not totally out of whack from what we've seen over the last 10 years. The 10-year AAA bond rates, the average has been at 2.23%, and we're currently at a 2.7%. So we're 47 basis points over the average of the last 10 years. So the plan is to sell 20-year bonds. What we're looking at all in would be a true interest cost of just under 4%, 3.92% is what we're projecting. And timing on that is tonight was just kind of a discussion to answer any questions that you may have. 2 weeks from tonight, I'll be back with a resolution that would authorize the transaction. We're only going to authorize the first $25 million, and really the thought behind that is each year when it comes time to do a next wave of bonds, we'll just come to you with another resolution. You could approve all $129 million now, but we'd like to do it just each tranche is approved, if nothing else, just for transparency for the public so everybody knows what steps we're taking and when we're going back to the market to issue bonds. So 2 weeks, you'll have a resolution in front of you. Between now and then, Mr. Richards and I are going to work with Moody's Investment Corp to hold a ratings call. Right now, probably looking at a 5 to 10 business day turnaround to get the rating back, and then we'll be ready to hit the market in early September. There is another Fed meeting September 20th. We'd like to stay ahead of that. It's now kind of up in the air whether or not they're going to have another rate increase, but we'll be able to get your issue to market and closed before that happens, so we're not caught by any surprises.
I would throw out just talking, and Mr. Wickham and I worked over the past year at least on kind of how that affects our tax rates, and that's a big deal. And we said no tax rate increase with this particular bond, and the way we have that chart laid out for you tonight, and Cody can go through that a little bit too with you. Our current bond rate is about 23 cents, okay, for taxes. We're actually taking that down to 20 cents, which is about 13% less than what we promised the taxpayers. The reason why we could do that is because our valuation went up 13%. So our baseline changed, and so our baseline on what we can do for the taxpayers at 20 cents tax versus 23 because of that valuation increase, no tax rate increase. So if you want to talk a little bit through that.
Lower in the aggregate levy was, I didn't want to steal your thunder on that because that's really the best news that we're bringing with you tonight. We've structured this, as you said, with a max fill of 19.97 cents in the early years as these bonds start to get paid down, and you have older bonds that are going to start waterfalling off as well. You're going to start to see a drop in 2029, 2030. and potentially even sooner than that, if everything kind of goes as planned. We also have built in here a very modest 3% valuation increase. This last year was 13%. So again, we just want to make sure that when we're projecting out into the future that you're not going to see your bond levy go up and down. We want to keep it nice and consistent and flat. And if anything, if your valuation continues to grow, you'll be able to continue to lower it. This also puts you in a very good position in the future. If you do have to go back to the voters and ask for another bond issue, you're going to have some of these bonds start to fall off where you hopefully will be able to go back out as your needs call for it and ask voters for another approval with a little or hopefully none tax increase in the future. So I think we've got a good long-term plan in place as we're modeling out these next 4 or 5 issuance of bonds.
Hi, Cody, thanks for coming. Thanks for putting this together. Brett, thanks for working and putting this together. I know it's a lot of estimating and trying to pencil in what numbers will fit where over the next 20, 25 years just to have the best outcome for our taxpayers in the district so that we can provide the services that we need. You said you had the ratings call with Moody coming up. Can you talk through this district's financial positions and our history and how that will translate into the ratings for Moody? Or
Sure.
What our history has been with our ratings?
Yeah, you have a very, very strong investment grade rating. It's a AA2. It's just one notch down from the highest that you can get, which is a AAA. Outstanding financial position. We would expect for them to reaffirm that on this issuance as well. When you're talking true interest rate dollars that's saving your taxpayers, having that exceptional rating can range anywhere from some of your peers across Nebraska, saving you anywhere from 10 to 35 basis points, which actually I can tell you in real dollars. The present value of 1 basis point change on this issuance alone is $21,772. So every 10 bips, you're talking $217,000. And over I might not be able to find it. This is 37 pages long, but extrapolate that out, times that by 5. So you're talking millions of dollars of interest saved by having a very strong investment grade rating. And really, the way I look at the ratings that they come back, it's just a testament to how the district has managed their finances, what the board has done to make good fiscal decisions. Ultimately, that's what it comes back at. You get strong community, Papillion, La Vista, very strong. They both have great ratings too, so you're just in a great spot.
Anyone else?
Well, and the good news, though we're in a volatile interest rate market, the good news, slightly good news, is though we may have a little bit of higher interest expense cost related to this bond issuance, we're also seeing elevated interest income from the money that we do have sitting in our money market accounts and in the bank. So there is some offset right now. Yes, interest rates are higher over here, but we're also getting a little bit more on the income side to offset some of that from a fiscal standpoint. So a little bit of positivity, though it's a little higher than the last bond issuance, still getting offset a little bit by what we can see with cash in the bank.
Yeah, typically what we do with a large number like this, $25 million, we put it in Nebraska Liquid Assets Fund. It earns interest. Right now that interest is 4.87%. We draw it as we need it into our construction fund and then pay for expenses, and we do that probably each month as we get the draws from the $25 million.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just one more thing that we did discuss at the meeting on Friday is that arbitrage that you're talking about now, earning while that $25 million is in the bank, it's not costing you any interest expense. You're going to offset that, if anything, even more than what the rate is. So we'll have to kind of watch how much you're earning so you're not going over what's allowable by the IRS. But the flip side of this too, while these interest rates are a little bit higher, once we sell those interest rates are locked in and they're fixed for the 20 years, the full 20 years of the bond issue. They won't get any worse. Now you can always come back and refinance if interest rates are in a better market environment and save money down the line. So once these are sold, you're good. They're not gonna go up, and we can always come back and revisit that, refinance, and potentially save some money along the way.
Yeah, and we have historically, as bonds are in the right position to refinance. I mean, we did this probably 3 or 4 years ago, where we refinanced as the interest rate levels, were bottoming out, and refinanced and saved the district millions of dollars in interest savings by refinancing those. So definitely something we'll keep an eye on, depending on what the interest rate market does here over the next few years.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
You're welcome.
All right. Next item up for discussion is policy 7000, construction.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Yep, there you go.
This will be my last one, and then I'll be quiet for a while. Looking at the Policy 7000 series, if you have any changes that you see within that series, please let us know, and we'll consider those to bring them back for the next meeting. Just a couple of them that I'm seeing right now for the Policy 7000 is just some minor changes in what the statute has kind of updated since this policy was first put out there. Let me get to the policy number. I apologize here. Policy 7101, we're just recommending removing the statute amount. Right now we have the statute amount of $100,000 in there, and it's actually $109,000. The committee kind of thought that the best way to handle is just remove the amount altogether and say what's in statute, so we don't have to continue to come back and change those things. But right now the amount is $109,000, and it changes every few years based on the market and things of that nature at the state level. So we're doing that in 7101 and 7102, and that's all we have right now for construction. So pretty easy policy changes here.
Great, yeah, thank you. That was my question, is how often does it change? So it makes more sense to just put it in there, the amount set in the state statute, so. Perfect, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Next up is the maintenance contract tentative agreement. Dr. Settles.
Thanks so much. I know you already have a copy in front of you, but I do want to send one around that has redlined with the changes. It'll make it a little bit easier for you as you're reviewing this. So we met, subcommittee's been working on this one for the last couple of months, and we've met with I'm going to start with the maintenance group. We've met with them and reached an agreement. So it is now just pending board approval. They did vote with the local 226 union this past weekend, and it did pass. So I just wanted to go over some of those details with you. This is a 2-year contract, so you'll notice that in there you have the items, various items all throughout. You can see updated dates and things. I'm not going to talk about those items. The biggest thing, of course, in this one is our proposed wage increase. That would reflect a 2.8% increase in year 1, and that is on all of the current employees, so that would include with their longevity, and then there also is the 2.8 increase on the base. So a 2.8 increase, which makes a total package increase of 3.77% when you figure in insurance. And then next year in year 2, there would be an 82-cent per hour increase. And that is a 2.75% salary increase for year 2. We also added some additional language surrounding paid holidays and stipends, as well as the addition of a vacation sellback option for them. So those that are maxed out at the max vacation, that they can accrue a chance to be able to sell back some of those days. And I would be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'm sure you just have some reviewing of it all to do, and we'll bring it back next time for any further questions and a vote. But of course, any questions that come up in the meantime, I'm very happy to answer those. Get in contact if you have anything with one of us.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Settles tonight? Okay, thank you very much. So then we'll stay with you for the custodial contract, tentative agreement.
Another great group. So these two groups, are just awesome humans, but they really, many of them do really come and stay in the district too, which we really appreciate with both the maintenance and then the custodial warehouse and drivers group. So that's the first thing you're really going to notice there is we made some changes right there, especially in the title. This previously had different spots throughout that referred to all three groups. But we did not have that in the title, and we added it throughout. This is a contract that represents all custodial, warehouse, and drivers in the group. So this group also met on Saturday, and it was ratified by membership with our SEIU Local 226, and is just now awaiting board ratification. That new contract includes also a 2-year contract. In year one, the proposed wage increase would be 5.81%, and in year two, 3.33% for this group. In addition, we did make some changes on the way that we calculate the pay. So you'll see that there's now 3 tiers of pay as we're hiring people. So there is a warehouse and drivers tier, which happens to be the same as the day custodians tier, and then there's an evening custodians tier as well. There also then would be a 20 cent added differential for any overnight custodians, and that only reflects, I think, 4 positions in the district. So you'll see on here in year one, what that percentage means is between 76 cents per hour and 86 cents per hour, just depending on which tier they're a part of. In year two, the increase for all of the tiers would be 60 cents per hour. We also made some additional language changes throughout that note warehouse and drivers that you'll see. We did add for inclement weather days where if a driver is not required to report, much like their rider paras, their van rider paras, they would have the first 3 days as paid for those inclement weather days, and that does not apply to custodial and warehouse as they typically are required to report on those days. We also had some additional language around paid holidays and stipends, as we did with maintenance, and then the sellback option for those maxed out on their vacation days that they can carry. Again, if there's any questions with this one, happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll be back at the next meeting.
I just want to thank you for the work on these 2 contracts, and to thank our warehouse custodial drivers and maintenance employees for all the work they do, because they are essential to the district, and we're happy to have them.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, I want to echo thank you for all your work on all this. I appreciate it. And we'll move to the last item under discussion is the review of Policy 8000 Board Organization and Operation. Dr. Settles, one more time.
Yep, thank you. We are due for the annual review of the 8000s policy, which is board organization and operation. So if there are recommended revisions, we will bring those to you at the next meeting and then hold discussion at that time, and then bring them back to you in September for a vote. So please let us know if there's things you're hoping we're looking at on those.
Absolutely, yes. And if you have anything bring up, please get to Dr. Settles. I appreciate it. All right. Next one is our future board calendar. As Dr. Rickley mentioned, this Saturday, August 19th, Billion La Vista Schools Foundation Gala at the Beardmore Events Center. And on the 28th is our next board meeting here in the central office at 6 o'clock. And one last thing on our board calendar that isn't mentioned, but all the teachers and staff and everyone out there, I hope you have a wonderful first full week. I know you've already been made it through Monday. So have a great week. We appreciate everything y'all are doing. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:24. Thank you all very much.